Please listen to the story True Hauntings Growing Up with the Unknown. My name is Melissa. I live in a small town near Victorville, California. My whole life, ever since I was 8 years old, I experienced my first paranormal story. As a vine older, I still had a lot of things happen to me. Seen things, heard things, felt different things. Everybody in my family says I have that sixth sense, that I just attract spirits. My grandma's house is in Juarez, Mexico. My dad grew up in that house. It's still in the family to this day. I was 8 years old. We were staying in the guest room. My mom, my dad, my siblings, my aunt and uncle. We were all staying in that spare room. That night, I could not go to sleep. I felt really anxious and scared. I didn't know why, and I remember putting a blanket over my head. But it was really hot. I felt like I had to do that. That's the first time I've ever felt that sensation, or felt that way. I was laying down, facing the curtain that they use as a door. As soon as I took the blanket off over my head, there was a man standing there against the doorway, a tall, slender figure wearing a hat, a trench coat, but it was just a shadow. I didn't see a face, just a shadow of a man standing there. I froze and then started crying. Everybody woke up. I told my mom. I saw somebody standing there by the doorway. Of course, when everybody looked, it was gone. Nobody was there. I didn't see anything the next day, but I don't even think I slept the next night. I just wanted to leave. I have an aunt who had seen that same man in that same room when she saw him. She said that he was kneeling as if he was praying. We're the only two that have ever seen him. My grandma. We said she always knew there was someone in that house, but it never bothered her. She never felt scared or threatened by it. My uncle, who lives in that house with my grandma, he would see things. He would feel like somebody was watching him. So a lot of people didn't like going to my grandma's house for that same reason. My dad did tell me when he had slept in that same room. He was falling asleep. He looked up on the ceiling. He saw a huge butterfly on the ceiling. My grandma always loved butterflies. We don't know who that could be, or if it's a family member. My grandma thinks it might be maybe an uncle of her. First, all I know about the house is that my dad grew up in it. There was one previous owner. There was a woman who got burned in that house, but the person I saw was a man. We still don't know who he is. I know there's been a lot of experiences in that house. My grandma passed away a few years ago. I went back after COVID and everything. It just feels different. It doesn't feel like whatever was there is there anymore. Growing up, I've had a lot of little, different instances and stories. When we first moved to the high desert, actually the first house we bought, a lot of things that would happen in that house. When we first moved in, my dad found a doll. It was made out of cloth. That was shoved inside a mason jar. It was closed. He took it out. He was in the pantry. He opened it. He thinks it was an innocent person that they had trapped in there. And in his way, he was setting that person free. He opened it up. I wouldn't say that's what caused all the things that would happen in that house. When I was younger, I would feel like somebody was watching me. I had to be in elementary school, maybe a 4th, 5th grade, when I was walking to that pantry, actually to grab something. I had my back facing the living room, towards the hallway where all the bedrooms were at. I just remember feeling this really cold sensation, as if something walks through you. My whole body just went cold. I froze. After I got out of that shock, I ran to where my mom and her friend were at, and I started crying. From then, I would always hear people talking or things, or whispers. I would hear my mom calling me. My mom's voice, and I would answer. Nobody was there. Nobody. It wasn't my mom. My mom used to have a lot of porcelain dolls as well. There was a ledge at the very top of the living room, and she had all these porcelain dolls there. I remember vividly laying down on the couch, looking up at this one doll she had in particular. She had curly blonde hair, blue and white dress. I remember looking at the doll. I was just staring at it. I remember the dog moving its head side to side, looking at me. We lived in that house up until I was, like in middle school. That's when we moved to a different house, in the same city, just about in every house I've ever moved to. I've always experienced or seen something, seeing something, hearing something. I started to believe, what if it is me? What if I am the one that everywhere I go, I just bring something with me? I had a friend, a really good friend of mine. I had gone over to her house. When I walked into her room, I felt this really heavy, uncomfortable feeling. I've gone to her house plenty of times, and I've never felt like that. But I walked in and I just wanted to get out of there. I just don't know why, and we left. Came back when I had gone back into her room. She was telling me that, some of the things that she had in her room. I noticed like new things. She had these monkeys that hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, that belonged to her friend who passed away. When she told me that, I felt this overwhelming sensation, and I think that's what it was, because she had some personal belongings of her friends that I just felt overwhelming energy of sadness. I just started crying, telling her all these things I felt, as if her friend had somehow channeled herself. Through me, I don't know. Like maybe a medium type of situation. It was very emotionally draining too. It does take a lot out of you. I didn't realize because I've never had that happen. The last big experience I really had, I would say, was back in 2019. I don't know if I was just going through a rough place in my life. My mom has always said, whenever you just feel very vulnerable, emotionally or mentally, that's when things try to attach themselves to you. There was my desk I had bought at Goodwill. Everybody knows me to be notorious in buying things, from antique stores, thrift stores, yard sales, and everybody always says, well, you always buy all these things, and you never know what could be attached to it. This desk that I bought, I still have it to this day. It's not in my room, but I still have it to this day. My bed is facing the wall. The desk is on the right-hand side of my wall. Everything's facing my door. I was having a lot of nightmares at that point. I've never been one to have sleep paralysis, but during that point of my life, I was having a lot of sleep paralysis. Every night, I was having really vivid, horrible nightmares. It was just odd. There was not a night that I could not go to sleep without having a nightmare or sleep paralysis. Could never actually rest. I would not turn off my light. I would leave sleep with my light on. Every time I fell asleep, it was almost this kind of sensation of, well, I know it's not going to be good sleep, because this is going to happen, because it was just something that was just happening. Every night, I'll have a cousin, my cousin. She lives in Mexico. She had came with her sister. They were just staying a couple days with us. I never told her about what I was going through. I never told her anything about my room. The next day, my cousin. She had heard somebody trying to open the door. She woke up scared because she heard the door knobbing, but nobody was coming in. Her sister, She has you can say sixth sense. She can pick up on things, or she knows things. She told me there's something in your room. I could feel it when I spent the night here. She had asked me, she's like, have you been having a lot of nightmares? Or have you just been feeling scared in your room? She confirmed my suspicion that there was something attached to a piece of furniture. When she told me that, I just was thinking, it has to be something that I've bought in, that I didn't have before. After she had told me that, she confirmed my suspicion. Okay, I'm not going crazy. These things are happening for a reason. There was one night I was laying in my bed and I thought I was awake. I remember looking over to the right, to my right-hand side of my bed where my desk is at, and I see a woman standing there by my desk. This lady, I didn't know who it was or who she was. She was looking at me with her black, shoulder-length hair, wet white lace wedding dress. She was wearing a mask, though, a tiger mask. When she noticed that, I realized that I was actually not awake. Then that's when she tilted her head. That's what really made me realize she sees me. She knows I'm aware and that I'm seeing her. After that, I just woke up. She is someone that was attached to that desk. I don't know who she is, but the weirdest thing is that after I actually saw her that night, I stopped experiencing any sort of nightmares or sleep paralysis. I still have that desk to this day. After that night that I had seen her, I didn't experience anything else again. At least, nothing major like that. I just never seen her again. I'm just curious still. I think about it to this day. Why is it that when I saw her, she's wearing like a wedding dress? Or that she was wearing a mask, a tiger's mask, which is weird. I just to this day wonder why. Maybe she didn't want to be seen. I think it's just more of a curiosity that I have. To this day, I've had little things happen here and there. In the house I'm currently living in, where I hear people talking or things moving, just hear noises in the house. It's not a consistent every time, but I will hear things here and there. I think it was last year I had seen him at my house. Actually, where I'm living at right now, in my sister's room. My sister had also says that she's seen him. I know I've looked it up. They say it's the Hat Man. So they say, I don't know if it's something a lot of people have seen. Some people have different names. They say they've seen this man. Tall, slender man. I had seen him about a year ago, when I had spent the night in my sister's room. We were sharing the same bed. And I had seen him by the doorway again, which is funny, because that's where I saw him the first time, when I was younger. That's really the only other time I've ever seen him. Besides when I was little. That same night was the same thing. I was laying there and I couldn't go to sleep. I just had this fence to look over by the doorway. I had seen him there again, just standing there. But this time he was actually in front of the door. He wasn't against the wall. He was actually in front of the door. But the weird thing is, I didn't feel scared. I just acknowledged that he was there. I had told my sister about it, and she's like, yeah, I've seen him a lot. He comes and goes. Would just show up here, and then I won't see him. So, I don't know if this particular person that we've seen is something that it's just maybe part of our family, or maybe I've seen him before. I just don't recollect. Because when you're younger, growing up, there's a lot of things you don't remember. But I just think sometimes you just have that sixth sense where you can see, feel, and hear things that other people can't. I don't really think there's anything that surprises me. There's a lot of skeptics, or people that don't really believe in anything. Like that, but even then, it's one of those things that when you experience it, it's very real. You can share your own story with me over on True, scarystory.com, and if you want to support the show, try out Scary, plus you'll also get ad-free episodes. Thank you very much for listening. Keep it scary, everyone. See you soon, everyone. See you soon, everyone. Please listen to the story Rental House of Horrors. We were going to an event in Oregon to see my family. My mom had booked this Airbnb. We ended up getting there at nighttime. My mom and her best friend. When they got to the house, there was smoke coming out of the ground. Like if you were to have a fire pit, you would see the smoke. But there was no fire pit. It was smoke coming out of the ground. They don't know how it got there. They would pour water on it, and it wouldn't go away. My mom called the fire department. They checked on it, but by the time they came, it was out. It wasn't there anymore. It was a weird house. It was remodeled. It looks like they stuck two houses together. There was two kitchens, a bedroom on the opposite side of where we stayed. But what was really creepy was all the wallpaper in the house. Every door had a different priest name. Every single door. It felt like you were being watched. Like something was just right behind you, trying to shake it off. There was a lot of people in the house as well. So we go into our room on the left side of the room. I noticed there was a cabinet. It was covered by the roof. When they remodeled the house, it looks like they just cut that cabinet off. The cabinet was locked, and it gave me the creepiest vibes ever. I remember telling my mom, when we first came in the house, that I felt really weird and sick to my stomach. My mom felt it too. You could feel the house was off. It felt unsettling, like something was wrong. But you didn't know what was wrong. The first night when we went to sleep, my sister was acting weird and she normally sleepwalks. That's a normal thing for her. She got up in the middle of the night. When I woke up the next morning, I was the first one up in the house. It felt like someone was staring at me. I noticed the sliding glass door to the backyard. It was just open. There were leaves all over the kitchen and trailed into the bedroom that my sister was staying in. I remember just following the leaves and being really confused because it was 6, 7 in the morning. No one else was up. I closed the door and I locked it. I went over to my sister. I saw that there was leaves in her blanket and hair. When she woke up, I asked her what happened. Why are there leaves all in your blanket and your hair? Why are there leaves in the kitchen? Why is the door open? She said, I don't know. I woke up out in the woods last night. I think I slept walk. My sister said she felt super creeped out when she came to out in the woods. She was freaked out quite a bit. My mom was freaked out because she went out there by herself, and she doesn't know why she went out there. And I said, I told you I felt something creepy about this house when everybody found out. She went into the woods in the middle of the night, alone. Everyone was very shocked. We had been drinking the night before, so we just thought possibly it was that. She wasn't drinking that much. They were going to stay one more night. But I was going home because I had to work. But it was the last night. I had all my sisters in the room, and my mom. We were all sitting in their room. My mom was sitting on one bed. I was sitting on the other. My sister was in the corner. My sister had her dog right next to her. He doesn't normally bark at random things. If he barks, it's because someone's at the door. Or he'll see somebody near the house and he'll bark. Then, We were all talking in the room, catching up. I was going to leave that next morning. We were talking about something that our emotions were going like. We were talking about an emotional topic. You could feel the density of the room get thicker. The energy in the room was changed. My sister's dog started whining, growling and staring in the corner of the room, by my mom's side of her bed. That's where, their bathroom was too. He was growling at something. We could not see in the corner of the room. There was nothing there. He wasn't calming down. He was freaked out. I have never seen him like that. Bo the dog. I think my sister left him in the Airbnb alone. She had the screen door open to the sliding glass door. When we got home, Bo had ran through the screen door to get out the house. He was sitting in the backyard. He didn't want to go inside the house. My little sister was trying to get him back in the Airbnb. He didn't want to go. That was a very big indication that what I was feeling, it wasn't anything that I was imagining. We had to coax him back into the house. But he didn't want to go. He looked like he was in trouble. His tail was between his legs. His ears were back. He kept staying right behind my sister. My sister would go to the next room. He would immediately be right behind her. The dog happened the night before I left. I had gone home that next day. They all stayed another night. My mom called me the next morning. She sounded stressed out. She didn't sound like her normal self. She said, "Something really freaked me out in the house last night. You're gonna think I'm crazy." I was like, "No, I don't think I'm gonna think you're crazy. Just tell me what happened." She said they were all sleeping. She woke up. She thought my little sister was on her side of the bed. Standing next to her, she said, "Hey, are you okay? What's going on?" The lady was dressed in a nightgown. An old nightgown. She thought it was my little sister. Until it turned around. The ghost lunged at her. She started screaming, "Go away. Go away. Go away." She was petrified, my mom. Her voice was so shaky when she described this to me. My sisters all confirmed that, yeah, Mom was screaming bloody murder. In the middle of the night, she said she saw a ghost and it freaked her out. The next day when they went to leave the Airbnb, my mom talked to the cleaners. She was asking her, "Something feels really off about the house. Do you feel it? I might be crazy, but my whole family has felt it, and we've stayed here for the weekend." The cleaning lady said we do not stay past sunset. We clean the house before it gets dark, and then we leave. We will not be at the house at nighttime. They said things would happen to them. She didn't like the energy of the house. She would put something on the counter. She would go back, and it wouldn't be there. It would be in a different spot. She thought that there was something evil in that house. She also said when it starts to get dark, she feels the energy in the house changes and that she is being watched, whether it's daytime or nighttime. I definitely felt that in the house. No matter what time it was, if I was there alone, it felt like someone was with me. I knew it was just me and the dog in the house. It was just that eerie feeling that you got, like you were being watched. I can't remember the history completely, but I remember my mom looking it up and saying, "It used to be an old school, and that's why there's priest names on the door." I was so creeped out by the thought of that. I was very happy to leave that house. Every time we go to Oregon, we joke about, "Let's never get an Airbnb like that. Please, the Airbnb from hell." I mean, it's not your house. You are in a new area. Maybe you don't live in that area. Which of course we didn't. It was just something had happened in this house. We don't know the complete story. We do know that it was remodeled. That looked like two separate houses that they put together and put a new kitchen in the middle, or a dining room, so like, get me out of this house. We have many more stories on the podcast, so remember to follow True Scary Story. And if you want to listen to my other shows, click the link in the description of this episode if you have a story to share. Find me on truescarystory.com and fill out the form. Thank you very much for listening. Keep it scary, everyone. See you soon. Please listen to the story Chased by Spirits, my family's paranormal encounter. I grew up in this really tiny town called Cleveland, Utah. The house was known as the very first post office in this really small town when Utah was founded. It was so old that when we did some renovations on the house, we would cut into it and see that it was logs on the inside. That's how old it was. It was an old log post office. My mom and dad decided to create a bedroom in the attic space upstairs. They cut a hole in the ceiling and built these really rickety, steep kind of stairs that went up into this little attic space. The top right corner of the room would be where the stairs would come up. Right at the top of those stairs, in the bottom right corner, was my bed, up against the wall, right in that corner, right there across the room. In the bottom left corner would be my sister's bed, and then in the top left corner was my brother's bed. I used to see this really dark shadow every night. I would wake up in the middle of the night. Somebody was in the room with me, watching me. I would open my eyes, and there would be this dark shadow standing over by my brother's bed. Staring down at him, it was the shape of a man, but it was just a really dark shadow that would stand there. It would move from my brother's bed, and it would just float across the room, standing over the top of my sister's bed, watching her. If I felt myself waking up, I would keep my eyes closed and wait for my brother to move, or wait for my sister to move, and then I would open my eyes. Then he would be standing right by me, staring down at me, watching me sleep. I was so scared I would take all of my stuffed animals, put them all the way around me, and then I'd take the biggest stuffed animal that I had, and I'd put it right over the top of me and tuck it in to make it look like. The stuffed animal is the one sleeping in the bed. I think around in my teenage years, we moved out of that house, and I didn't have any other experiences growing up until later in life when I met my husband. We had all of our kids at that time, and he was stationed in the Air Force, and he got deployed to Iraq, Afghanistan. He got deployed to Korea for a year. One of the funny things about me and my husband, we were really into the TV show Ghost Hunters. There was this one episode where they went to the Stanley Hotel. It's the actual hotel that Stephen King himself was staying in when he had those experiences. That scared him so much that he wrote the book, The Shining. This hotel is over 100 years old in Estes Park, Colorado. It's gorgeous. On this episode, they decide that they're going to split up into these separate rooms in the hotel that are known for the most paranormal activity. In the hotel, one of them is on the 4th floor, room 412. Back to me and my husband. My husband is deployed to Iraq. I want to surprise him with something. Just pretty cool for him coming home. He's been gone for 6 months. I decided I was going to book us a stay at the Stanley Hotel so that we can go investigate ghosts. I decided to book that exact room 412. We drive to the Stanley, and you walk into this hotel. and there's this big staircase. It goes up the center, and then it splits off to the right and the left, on both sides, and you can go up to the other rooms. Next to the staircase, it has this really awesome, super old elevator that is, one of those metal elevators that you have to close the gate on. Old, rickety, and really loud. We get our key for the room, so we get in the elevator and we go upstairs. Step off the elevator, and the room that is haunted is right next to that elevator. We get in the room and go check out the closet. This closet is 100 years old, full hard wood. It's got one of those really old doorknobs on it that are really hard to turn. It's super heavy. On the back side of the closet is that elevator. We check that out. We check the room out. It was really pretty. It had a really old bathroom in it, the really super old Victorian sink with on the inside. We decided to go get some dinner and walk around the hotel for the rest of the evening until bedtime. So nothing happened to us that night. When we were walking around checking out the hotel, and we took the tour guide was this really cool old guy that had actually done the tour for ghost hunters. When they came, he was their tour guide. We noticed that on our tour. The guy goes right up to the room we're staying in, stood outside of the door, and sit there and tell the stories about what happens in there, how people have lost things. Me and my husband are just sitting there thinking, yeah, we're staying in this room tonight. We even told the people that were on the tour with us. We're like, yeah, this is our room. We're going to stay in there. You guys want to look in there? And they were all pretty excited to go in and check out the room. And we ended the tour and went to eat dinner. And then we went back up to the room. And it was time for bed. We decided that we were going to go and take a shower. Together, we're in the bathroom, talking about how nothing's happened to us. It doesn't seem very creepy. There was 3 bulbs in this one light fixture above the bathroom sink. As soon as we were talking about this happening, the light bulbs all shattered. We got out of the shower and called downstairs. I told the lady at the desk what had happened. She said that they were going to send somebody up to come and take care of it. Things like that happen all the time in that room. I just don't know what could have caused that. They came up, they cleaned it up, they left the room, and me and my husband get into bed. And we're laying there, and I'm trying to go to sleep. This bed is facing the closet. So if you're sitting up in bed, you're looking right at the closet. I get this really dark, heavy feeling. There is something in this room. I open my eyes. I look up. Right above the bed is a fan. A ceiling fan? And right next to the ceiling fan, there is this woman floating there. She had a really long, dark hair. I'm looking at her. I start grabbing my husband's arm, shaking him, and I'm like, honey, do you see her? She's right there. And I'm hyperventilating. He wakes up, sits right up, and he's like, where? Where? And I'm like, she's right there in front of us. At that point, she starts moving towards me. And I take a breath and I'm like, hi. She stops, tips her head sideways. We laid down to go back to sleep, and I could not go to sleep. The morning after, we went downstairs to go tell the people that I had an experience. There's a tour guide there. And I tell her what had happened to me last night. And she kind of just, yeah, that happens all the time. It seemed like she didn't believe me, didn't take me seriously. We decided we were going to go look around the town and check out the hotel more. It's pretty big. It's got a few outbuildings too. We spent the day just being tourists. We get back to the hotel. My husband decides what he's going to do. is he grabs this little L, no smoking sign that is sitting on top of the dresser, and he's gonna put it right in front of the closet door. Slide it right under it just in case something happens. We go to sleep, and nothing else happens that night. The next morning, the closet door is closed, but the little LS sign was out in the middle of the floor. I'm feeling really uneasy about staying in this hotel and room because we had one more night there. I call my mom. I'm bawling. I don't want to stay here. And my husband's being a sweetheart, sitting there telling me it's going to be okay. We just got one more night. Let's just stay here. And I said, okay, we'll just stay because it was paid for that night. Actually, nothing happened to us. We just woke up and left to go back home. I would absolutely stay at the Stanley Hotel again. The hotel was beautiful. The food was amazing. From their little old-fashioned restaurant. And the rooms were really comfortable. Really scary, but really comfortable. I would not stay on the 4th floor again. Not at all, not in any of the rooms on the 4th floor. Forget it. Throughout our marriage, we have had quite a few paranormal, inexplicable things that have happened. After we went and stayed at the Stanley Hotel, we had moved out of the house that we were staying. At the time, we moved on to base housing at Hill Air Force Base. Cabinet doors would open and close. You would hear whispers or voices throughout the house. When I was in my room laying on the bed, I would be reading, and right above the book, I would see this little boy's head just quickly dash past the bottom of the bed. One other instance. Me and my husband were laying in our bed watching TV. All of a sudden, all of the stuff that was in our bathroom, fell off of the shelves into the bathtub. Another time that I was laying in bed, all of a sudden, I felt these little steps stepping next to me, from my feet all the way up to my head. And I turned and I looked, and there was nothing there. We decided that we wanted to name this little ghost. And I'm like, how about we name him Billy? At that exact same time, my husband said that in his head popped the name Billy. After this house, we had moved off a base. It was Halloween, and we felt this ghost presence had followed us. Because same thing started happening in this other house. I took my kids to go see my mom for Halloween. While we were there, I was on the phone talking to my husband, and all of a sudden he says, there was a little boy that just ran across the floor, down the bed, out of the corner of my eye. The kid ran across the room. We're sitting there talking about it, and then all of a sudden you hear in the living room the sound of one of my Halloween decorations go off. This Halloween decoration, it was broken. The motion active part of it was busted, and it was an old gravestone that would crack open and scream at you. The only way for it to go off was for somebody to push it. We moved to Montana. We had a bunch of things happen in that house. My children saw these things. My son Lincoln, he is very sensitive. A couple of days ago, I was in my room. My son's girlfriend. I was going to show her something on my phone. I was walking down my hallway, passing the kitchen, and out of the corner of my eye, I see my son standing in the kitchen. In front of the sink, his back was to me. I thought, okay, I'm going to go show Lincoln first. When I turned to look into the kitchen, he's not there. He is not there. There is nobody there. He comes walking in through the family room. In the back door, I explained to him, this ghost or mimic or whatever this was looked just like him. I have no idea what that was, but it scared the crap out of me. That's the first time something's happened to me, personally, in this house. I'm hoping nothing else happens here. I'm almost over the whole ghost thing. Haha, balding. We have had other situations where we would be sitting out on the porch. We live up in Willow, Alaska. It's a really tiny town in the middle of the forest. We have neighbors that aren't very close to us. We would be sitting out on the porch, and you would hear strange howls, moans, and growls over in that forest. Over there, across the lake, we're avid hunters. We know what it sounds like when a moose is in heat. Just doesn't sound anything like that. Me and my son and his friends, we always talk about shapeshifters up here all the time. Skinwalkers is a big deal in Alaska. A skinwalker can take certain forms of people or things. I don't know if it could have possibly been something like that. I can't tell you. I really have no idea what it could possibly have been. I don't know if it's the places that we've lived in, or if it's because my side of the family, is so sensitive to ghosts, or if it's Lincoln himself. If he attracts these things coming to us everywhere that we've been, in all of the houses that we've lived in. I haven't really been very scared, even though we've had these experiences happen to us. Every time I'm thinking that we're in a new place, it's going to be great. There's nothing going to happen. Then something happens. You can share your story with us over at True Scary Story.com and to listen without ads and support the show at the same time. Visit scaryplus.com. If you're following the show, I'll talk to you next week. Thank you very much for listening. Keep it scary, everyone. See you soon. Everyone, see you soon. Everyone, please listen to the story, Voices in the Night. I was living with my mom and stepdad at the time. In their house, me and my mom. We were going through a period where we were kind of just lost with our religion. In spirituality, we had always been spiritual. But at this time, we both just felt a disconnect from everything. That's when everything started to manifest. The first incident was with one of my friend. We were on the porch one night, talking about how the summer had started, how we had just graduated. All of a sudden, we hear someone walking out the front door. So we look up. We see my mom. We assume she's taking out the garbage or doing something in the garden or something like that. We go back to talking, and not even a minute later, we hear the front door open again. We see my mom. We were looking at each other in disbelief. She asked, "What's wrong?" We almost scream at her like, "How did you get out here so fast?" What happened? She kept denying and be like, "No, I was not out here. I was inside. I was in the kitchen. We just ignored it. Maybe it was just our eyes or our minds playing a trick on us." 4 days later, my friend was over again. This time, we were in my room. I was on my phone, not really paying attention, but I was listening to what she was saying. All of a sudden, she went silent. I look up quickly. She has this mortified look on her face. I ask her what's wrong. What happened? She's sitting on the foot of the bed, looking at the edge, and she won't say anything. I finally look to see where she's looking at. I see a dent. Someone was putting pressure on the bed, or sitting on the bed. I was confused. 2 weird things have happened this week. That night, everyone had gone to sleep. My friend had left. It was probably around 1:32. I was thirsty, so I went downstairs to go fill up my water bottle. It was in my bedroom, the bathroom, and the bathroom was facing the bottom of the stairs. I walked 2 steps to the stairs. I'm about to walk down. I see this lady at the bottom of the stairs. She's 6 foot, maybe even taller. She took up most of the wall. She had dark hair, and she had this white dress. It had frills at the bottom and a short sleeve. I ran back into my room, close the door. The next morning, I bring it up to my mom and I tell her, "There's something going on in our house. I don't know what's going on." She brushes it off. She's like, "No, it's just our ancestors, don't worry. You'll be fine." In my gut, I knew that wasn't the situation. A few days later, after my mom and I talk about this, and she brushes me off, it's maybe 2:30, closer to 3 this time. I'm downstairs in the kitchen. Our kitchen was attached to a hallway, that LED to the front door. I was in the kitchen, and something was just telling me to look behind me. I look, and I see the woman from a couple nights ago. I turn away, quickly, look back, and she's gone. I was cooking something, and I left it all on the stove. I ran upstairs. I was terrified. The next morning, my mom's like, "What happened? You left everything downstairs. Something's going on." And I'm like, "I told you, something's in the house." She says if something was here, I would be able to see it, or I'd be able to feel it. There's nothing here, trust me. It's just one of our ancestors. They're protecting us. I know it's something else, but she won't listen, so I try and forget about it again. One night, it was 3 a.m. I heard someone walking past my room. My parents, they're both. Not the type of people who would leave their room at night. They'd only really go to the bathroom. They wouldn't go downstairs for water or anything. Something just told me to go check on what it was. So I walk out my room. I see my mom walking down the stairs. In a quiet voice, I start saying, "Mom." I call her name 5 or 6 times as I'm doing that. I'm walking down the stairs trying to get closer to her when I am 1 step away from her, about to touch her. She turns around. I see her eyes. That's not my mom. The eyes were sunken in. You could tell it had no soul. I sprint up the stairs back to my room. I don't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning, I'm so spooked. I finally tell my mom, "You may not believe me, but something is in this house. We need to do something." She's like, "We can go see someone. They'll talk to us." My stepdad. He was friends with this man who was a Babalawo, a priest of this religion called Aruba. We go to this man's house. He starts to do the consultation. My mom starts screaming and crying, wailing, screaming at the top of her lungs. I look beside her. She's pale. She's screaming. Her hair is in front of her face. I don't know what's going on. I leave the room. I can hear her screaming from outside. 15 minutes later, she finally stops the babble out, tells me to come back in the room. He starts explaining to us what happened. My mom, she let something into the house. This spirit, she was a woman who had committed suicide. She was depressed after losing her child in the house. He starts to ask my mom, "Can you think of something that you may have gotten, from a thrift store? Something that may have history?" She remembers that she was cleaning the basement, and something was drawing her to the back corner. There was this desk, was really heavy behind it. There was this door. In it, there was a bunch of heirlooms from the original owners, and their family, all their stuff was in this cubby. When my mom went in that room, she found this lamp or vase kind of thing. She took it out, and she put it in our living room. The Babalawo, he realized, that lamp is what brought this woman to our house. As soon as that lamp came in our house, all these things started happening. My mom's energy completely changed. She went from being so energized to always wanting to sleep and always being so tired and so negative. She wasn't sleeping either. She was staying up until 3:30 every morning. Even my stepdad thought she was acting weird. He said that her personality had completely changed. The Babalao, he tells us. I know what to do. I know how to get her back to the lamp. He does some things in our basement. Some religious sacrifice or something. He eventually bounces her back to this lamp phase. That night, we threw it in the graveyard because he said that would be best, just as a precaution, to make sure it's away from our house. That night was the last time we ever saw or heard from that spirit again. And it wasn't the only time. My mom had invited something in never on purpose, in a house before this house. When my mom and my dad first got divorced, she had got this spirit board that she used with the pendulum. First, she started talking to people who she thought was her spiritual guides, guardian angels. They were telling her things she wanted to hear. We'll be here to protect you. You'll have more luck and love. We'll make sure to protect your daughter. Your daughter's going somewhere in the future. My mom, she was obsessed with it. Every day she was doing it. Over time. The messages just started getting super negative. One day, they told her, we're gonna kill you. We're gonna burn the house down. We're gonna kill your daughter. We're gonna burn her in her sleep. At this time, my mom and we were getting into accidents. I was hit by a car. She had almost been hit by multiple cars. Dogs were attacking her out of nowhere. One time, our neighbor's dog, he was on a leash attached to the porch, and he just ripped out of it, and he ran across the street, jumped on her, and attacked her. Multiple dogs were doing that at the time, and we didn't really know what was going on. All we knew was that my mom was getting these messages, and it was dangerous. She decided to go back to Portugal, where she's from, to get advice from her family. She went to a medium there. She looked in her eyes, and she said, "Where is your soul? Your soul is at the back of you. Your soul's supposed to be in front of you. It's at the back of you. There's so much darkness around you. It's gonna harm you and my mom at this point." She goes to see another person, just to make sure. To validate, the lady says the same thing. There's so much darkness around you. What did you do? Did someone do something to you? My mom finally comes back. We move in with one of my friends and his dad. My mom just had to get me out of that house. She was terrified that something bad was going to happen. During all this period, too, I was having bad dreams. I was seeing dreams with blood on the wall. I had started having suicidal thoughts, and I was 10 at the time. So I wasn't even thinking of any of that at that age. And I just suddenly started having these thoughts. When my mom and I moved to my friend's house, start using the spirit board again. His wife had died. She had also committed suicide when she was using the spirit board. The wife was telling her, like, "If you don't get out of my house, I'm gonna burn the house down." At this point, my mom's like, "We have nowhere to go, we have to move." We move in with my now stepdad for a few days. We're looking for a place. And my mom goes to the last medium she goes to before we move out. They tell her, "You have opened a portal. You using that spirit board opened a portal. And you let something in that's trying to harm you." And my mom realized that she had messed up. That week we packed our bags, moved to a new house. My mom kept in touch with the lady who lived upstairs, who was our landlord, the man who lived there after us. He lived there for maybe 2 weeks, and he apparently went crazy, packed his bags and left. Even the lady had to move out. No one could live there after that. My mom had let something in, but it had attached itself to the place after. She has completely stopped doing that. The religion we are in now doesn't really focus on that. We don't really talk to spirits in that way. She hasn't done anything like that for the past couple of years. Thankfully, everything's calmed down. If you have a scary story that you want to share, head on over to True Scary Story, and fill out the form. And if you want to support the show and listen completely ad-free, head on over to Scary Plus. Or check out the Scary Plus links in your app. Right now, thank you very much for listening. Keep it scary, everyone. See you soon, everyone. See you soon, everyone.